Hi and welcome. This is Sonica Tinker, my awesome partner. My name is Christian Peterson. We are the founders of LoveWorks and the LoveWorks Solution.
We're going to be talking today about 10 warning signs of a toxic relationship.
Which is something we often get asked about, like, am I in a toxic relationship?
Here's a quote from Dr. Lilian Glass. A toxic relationship is any relationship between two people who don't support each other, undermine each other, and frequently emotionally or physically damage each other.
Yeah, so we'll share some of the signs for warning signs of a toxic relationship here. And certainly the first one to start with is physical abuse, physical pain, or violence. Like any combination of those, yeah, you're definitely in a toxic relationship and you should get out as fast as possible.
Everybody deserves to feel
Pretty, yeah.
safe in
That,
their relationship.
and there really isn't much wiggle room around that. You might be able to come up with exceptions, but this is a really great rule. You should not be suffering physical abuse or pain or violence in any shape or form.
Yep, either get out or get help.
Yeah, both preferably.
The second way you can tell whether you're in a toxic relationship is name calling, belittling, demeaning, criticizing, where you are incessantly being put down.
It's kind of like some people call this being an emotional punching bag. Nobody deserves to be treated like that. Not you, not your partner, not your kids, none of us.
And it extends here to number 3, which is, if your partner humiliates you in public or spreads a lot of negative gossip about you, right? That name calling and belittling sort of extends outward from your relationship out into your community.
Yeah, on the flip side, that's actually one of the things we always teach couples. One of the signs of a really good relationship is that we represent each other well in public, to our friends, to our families, to my friends when she's not there. Even when we're like disagreeing about stuff, we're mad at each other, we still represent each other well in public, always.
Another one is any kind of lies, secrets, withholding, deliberate holding back of information or resources.
Yeah, granted, there's kind of different levels of lying and secrets. It's one thing if I said, I'm not gonna eat any more sweets this week, and then I did go to the bakery and ate a cupcake, and I didn't say that to you. That's different than if it's I stole all our money and used it on gambling, or if I have either of us have a recurrent behavior of lying, withholding.
It makes it really challenging to have a healthy relationship, which is built on trust, right? And so trust requires being open, vulnerable, truthful, knowing that you can trust what the other person is saying. You can count on them and what they're saying.
Yeah, and trust is an absolute foundational essential for any kind of good relationship. And it's not necessarily a toxic relationship if you have some lack of trust, but if there is a pervasive lack of trust and you're finding yourself going to everything from your partner, that's a pretty good sign.
Another one is if you are feeling controlled, emotionally coerced, manipulated, where there's this sense of lack of even power in the relationship and somebody's taking advantage.
Yeah, for sure. You should both in a relationship have the same. You might not have the same roles and the same jobs and the same responsibility, but you should absolutely have the same level of power to say yes, to say no, and to do as you are free, to be free to do as you please.
Another one is really, it's kind of more of a it's a little more nebulous.
I know it's a little nebulous.
It's just when you feel crazy. When you kind of keep having the sense like something is off, something is not quite right.
It's like when your partner keeps saying one thing, but you keep feeling the exact opposite. Your partner might keep saying, "I really love you. I adore you. You're the most important person in my life." But his or her actions don't demonstrate it, and your internal sensation is always like, huh, what? Like, yeah, yeah, you always have this sense of off.
Yeah, we kind of, I think of it as like off balance, right? And again, a healthy relationship is where you feel really grounded and sure and clear. And, it has a very different feeling. It kind of goes back to that trust place. So you want to pay attention if it feels like something isn't quite right here. Listen to your intuition.
Yeah. If your partner is, consistently blaming, not willing to apologize, refusing to take responsibility, refusing to deal with conflicts, unwilling to learn or grow, you could say. Like, if there's a consistent behavior like that, that is also a good sign. And you'll know, because the times you're going to want to hear an apology, you probably won't. And there's a lot of blaming towards you, that it's your fault that we have this problem, or it's your fault that I didn't do what I said, for example.
Yep. It's hard to have a healthy relationship if somebody's always blaming you for everything.
Yeah.
Another one is if your partner refuses to listen to you and dance with your concerns, to take your needs seriously, right? If you feel like it's always, it's always about them, they're selfish, always taking care of themselves at the expense of you, that's a good sign that you're in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, for sure. Another one we want to mention is if you have the experience that you're constantly walking on eggshells, you're afraid to speak up, you're afraid to be yourself, you're afraid to say how you feel, you're afraid to go for what you want, you're physically afraid, you're afraid of physical consequences. So when you're walking on eggshells all the time, that's not a good situation, and a sign, one of the signs of a toxic relationship.
Well, it means that you're living more in fear than you are in love, right? Because love is when you feel safe and free to be yourself. And the last one we'll say, which is
kind of summarizes all of these,
is really when you feel worse more of the time, bad more of the time than you do feeling good. If you're spending 90% of your time feeling terrified or miserable
or just have this sense of or distrusting,
lonely, hurt, yeah, you're definitely in a toxic relationship. And what's kind of good you could say about all that bad feeling is at some point it's going to motivate you to make some positive change, right? That's the positive intent behind all that negative feeling when you have all of these signs or some of these signs of a toxic relationship.
Yeah, and another thing that's important we want to add here about toxic relationships, often when you're the one in a toxic relationship, it's some of the things we just talked about, they're combined with a very powerful attraction for your partner, like powerful love, powerful attraction, maybe amazing sex. So it could be really difficult to
extract
what do you call it, extract yourself from that. We've coached a lot of people who are there. There's both this toxicity where you say this is not good for me. If you find yourself saying this is not good for me, but then the next day you just can't wait to get back together, so there's this powerful come together and apart. It's sort of an addictive behavior that I'm just validating that can make it really tricky for you to sort it out on your own. So don't be afraid to reach out for help. You can reach out to us, find people in your local area, but you definitely want to go talk to someone about that and get their input.
So here are a couple of things that you can do if you find yourself saying yes to any of those things that we just spoke about. One, especially around the violence and the physical abuse that we already spoke about, make sure you get help. I was in a battering relationship myself for a while, and you have to learn about the cycles of violence. You have to learn your part and what you're doing that's contributing to that, one of which is staying in the relationship. And you definitely want to make sure you get some help, get some outside help. Do not keep yourself in that situation. Go talk to a coach, a therapist, go visit a battered women's shelter, get yourself support, because you really do. Again, I'll just say you deserve to feel safe.
For sure. And even if there's not physical violence, but you still have some of the signs we talked about, ask your friends what they see. It doesn't have to be a professional, just people who know the two of you together as a relationship. Ask them what they're seeing, share with them your experience, and get their feedback, because often people who aren't in the relationship, they sometimes see it clearer than I do.
Yeah, it's very, very useful actually to get other people's input, especially in the relationship. If you're getting a lot of mixed messages from your partner, it can be hard to sort of sort out what is really true and what isn't true, and it will help ground you. Another thing is and this was true for me when I was in a battered relationship, is I was unaware of how much I had a victim mindset playing out in the background. And it really took something for me to be able to shift from a victim mindset to a power mindset, like to a heroine's
Yeah.
mindset. Like I'm going to rise. I'm going to be this phoenix that's going to come out of the fire, and I'm going to turn this around. And I deserve to be in a healthy relationship. I deserve to be treated well. I deserve to feel safe. I deserve to feel free to express myself. I deserve to have my concerns taken care of here.
Yeah, by doing that, you claim your own value. When you're in a toxic relationship, you're not treated to the proper value of you. So what Sonica is sharing is a way to claim your own value and not let yourself be mistreated like that.
And what goes along with that is not only shifting your mindset, and is also being able to back that up with action. And there's a couple of different ways. One is to set very clear boundaries for taking care of yourself. This is okay. It is, I'll never forget, there was one who was mistreating me in my life. And I was like, I will not be spoken to this way. And I just declared it. And I remember walking out of the room, and another time I remember I was on the phone and I hung up the phone. It's like, I will not be spoken to this way. And just setting a very clear boundary that was like, I deserve to be spoken to with respect, and I'm happy to have a conversation, but I'm not willing to do it in this way.
Yeah, and another way to back this up with action is to take actions that reinforce that you're a valuable person, that you are worthy of respect. So, we've coached many men or women who are in toxic or toxic-like relationships who take it so much upon themselves that they fall into despair or depression, and it saps their life force.
Or they start using drugs, alcohol,
Can't get out of bed in the morning, and you do not want to let that happen to yourself. So part of the actions you take is you create good and healthy routines for yourself. For example, if you've had the experience that you can't get out of bed and you're just like sapped of energy, like you make yourself get out of bed, even if you have no job to go to. You still get out of bed, you still shower, you still go to, you still put decent clothes on, you take a walk, something. You create good, actionable habits and routines for yourself.
Yeah, make self-care a priority. And right next to that is make sure you get support. Like go create and go be with friends. Go create social connections that feed your soul, that remind you of who you are, that reinforce your value.
Because what is mostly our tendency, if we're feeling bad about relationship, bad about ourselves, we tend to isolate. We just go inside and take it upon ourselves. So what Sonica is talking about, go be with friends, nurture your own social connections is a great, great way to support yourself.
And right next to that too is to get support. Like don't hesitate to go ask for help. You do not have to go through this alone, right? And you really can. And a lot of times we really do need outside support to create massive change, especially in the more dysfunctional relationships that we find ourselves in. So don't feel like you have to do it alone.
Yeah. The last thing we'll say as something to do is be gentle with yourself. When you discover these things that you're in a toxic or toxic-like relationship, it's probably taken some time to get into it, and it might take some time to change the dynamics or to extricate yourself. And sometimes it can absolutely be improved between the two of you. But be gentle with yourself during this process. Don't get down on yourself and make it worse.
Yeah, you want, I'll just, in my own experience, I will say in retrospect, my victim toxic relationship helped me grow more than any other relationship. And you really can use this experience to help yourself grow, to create positive change, to step closer and closer towards your vision for creating a healthy, thriving, vibrant relationship where you get to thrive.
Yes, and you can absolutely create that. We totally and firmly and 100% believe that.
All right, well, here's a big bunch of love and hugs to you in your journey. Yep, we feel ya, and you got this. You can do it.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in.